All right. Hello, everybody. So, in this video lecture, I want to talk about the research proposal. So, this is the next step after the annotated bib. So, if we're kind of tracking the way that this unfolds or scaffolds, we selected a topic with the interest area explorations. We came up with some sort of research question and the research question rationale. We've done some basic research with at least 5 sources. And now we're going to push that to the next step. And again, the research proposal is not your paper. It's kind of part of the pre-writing process, which is going to make writing the paper, I think, a lot easier if you've done it and you've taken time to work through it. So the way that this works is to think about what the goal of the research is, what we're trying to accomplish, right? Why is this research important? How is it helpful? So the way that I think about this is when you think about your current research question, your research question is probably going to evolve or change over time. How will answering this specific question help people or society? What problem does it solve? And it may not be that you're finding a specific concrete answer to this. It may just be, I think that the next step is we should do X. That would be an okay way to approach this research paper. And I'll give you an example just to ground it a little bit more. Let's say we were writing about climate change. We don't necessarily have to come up with a solution to climate change. I mean, if you can, great, and do it by all means. But if the best we can do is say the next step of addressing climate change should be to limit fast fashion or something like that, that would be an okay next step. And how is that going to help people? It's going to help reduce pollution. So again, as we kind of think about how this goes forward from here, the research proposal, much like the annotated bib, is worth 50 points, right? And it has 5 specific sections. The intro, the reason. So the reason is kind of like your rationale, is the reason this topic needs to be researched. Not the reason that you want to learn more about it, but the reason that we as a society need more research on this. The objectives. So the objectives part is what you're trying to accomplish with this specific paper. And then the literature review. So the literature review is going to sort of bring together your annotated bib. So your annotations focus on each individual source, whereas the literature review synthesizes the big ideas, the big threads, the major discussions that are happening. So rather than what's happening in one, you're going to look at kind of the bigger picture stuff that's coming up in all of the literature you've read. And then part 5 is a plan, which is what you need to do next as a researcher. What specific sources do you need to find? How are you going to find it? Are you looking for more statistics, or are you looking for more anecdotal evidence? So once we have the research proposal, then we're going to go and we're going to write the first draft. So you get comments from me on the research proposal. The first draft is also 50 points, right? A minimum of 5 pages, double space, not counting the works cited, charts or graphs. So charts, graphs, images do not count as part of your page length, nor does the works cited. And you're going to actually have 6 sources for this. So you can use all of the sources from your annotated bib, and you can reuse those by all means. But if you decide, hey, I included these 2 sources on my annotated bibliography that I put in just to have 5, you could get rid of them. You can replace them. It doesn't even have to be the same sources. So you can mix and match whatever makes sense to you. But you will need 6 sources, at least 3 of which need to be peer-reviewed. The other 3 could be popular sources, okay? And then from there, you'll get comments from me, and then you're going to begin working on your final draft, which is worth 100 points. So again, all of this stuff and the way I've designed the course is as the point value goes up, you've got more to draw on, and that's part of the reason the point value goes up. With the interest area explorations and the research question rationale, then we get the annotated bib, and then the research proposal, and the first draft. So the final draft is going to be a minimum of 8 pages, double spaced, not counting works cited, charts or graphs. And you're going to have at least 8 sources, 4 of which must be peer reviewed. All right. You're going to get comments from me as well from the first draft. And then you're going to make sure to track all of your changes for your final draft so I can see actually the progress that you've made. We'll go over that in more detail too. I just want to give you an overview of how kind of the rest of the quarter stacks up. So the research proposal, right? The 5 sections. So the introduction is similar to an introduction for a paper. You're providing general background and context, really helping ground a reader in the current perspectives on the topic you intend to research, really giving us a lay of the land. And best case scenario, you can repurpose this introduction for your essay and just add a thesis onto it. But since it's a proposal, we don't need a thesis statement yet. So once I have that introduction, here's the landscape. Here's what's happening, what's related to my topic. The next part is the problem statement reason for further research, right? This is explaining why the problem still needs to be addressed, right? Again, this is why in general there needs to be more research. And it's a place where a lot of students stumble. To say that we need to research social media because it's harmful to mental health, that's true, but I think we all generally agree on that, at least to some extent. The problem isn't necessarily that social media is harmful to mental health. The problem statement would be what can be done about it, right? So in other words, why isn't there more research into helping people limit screen time, right? So again, think narrower, not broader. The objectives is where you're going to point out usually 3 or maybe 4 main things that you want to do with your essay. And you can even kind of think of this as a mini outline. If you've got your main reason for researching this, the thesis, that's going to kind of come from your problem statement, right? And then the objectives are the things that you'll do to support that main thesis statement. The literature review, again, is going to bring together the sources that you've found so far and put them in conversation with each other. So we definitely don't want to just rehash the annotated bibliography, and we still do want to include some specifics. So it'd be wise to include a quote or a couple of quotes in your literature review and not just say, this source said this source said this source said this, because again, we're putting them in conversation with each other. And then the plan is going to provide your framework for your next steps, right? Again, I want to know specifically what you're going to do. I know that it's very likely you need to do more research, but what is it that you need to research? How are you going to find that? Okay. All of this is going to set you up for success and is going to make your life a lot easier, I think, as you come up to the first essay. A couple points of clarification. Your proposal is not your essay. You can repurpose parts of your proposal for your essay, but it is not the same thing, right? So if you wanted to use parts of what you had for your intro or parts of what you had for your reason, right, your project justification, you can reuse those. It's not self-plagiarism, but they are 2 different things with 2 different goals. The proposal is a sort of formalized pre-writing where we're kind of putting everything into a nice package. The objectives and plan portion will help you move into the next steps of writing because you'll know what you're trying to accomplish, and then you're thinking about how you can accomplish those objectives. You're going to receive feedback on your proposal that will help you with your first draft, and then feedback on your first draft that's going to help you with your final draft, right? You are more than welcome to adjust your focus slightly. It should still be the same broad topic as the annotated bib. Really, once we get past the interest area explorations and the research question rationale, I strongly recommend that you not change your topic dramatically. And then the last point of clarification here is that you're going to want to include a works cited only for any works that you are specifically referencing in your research project. So again, if you're going to quote directly for your literature review portion, which I suggest you do, you're going to need a works cited for that. If you are not citing something in your paper, you're not quoting something, you don't need to put that information in your works cited. And again, the more that you think and you're intentional about the quotes that you use for your literature review, the more you're going to set yourself up for success, especially as the point value increases pretty rapidly here. Of the 500 points that are available this quarter, 100 points is the final draft, 50 points is the first draft, 50 points is the research project. So that's 200 out of 500 points, or 2/5 of your grade right there. that you probably want to pay attention to, with the knowledge that they all work together. Okay, so there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, jokes, memes, or recipes, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you all later.